It is going. I missed Monday, so I don't know what everyone's goals were, but I don't know. Michelle, do you want to start on how you've been doing? What you've been doing?
Sure. I've been working a bit on income module stuff. I think that just for Chris's project, I'm gonna make a little subclass or something for some of the complexity that her form is facing. I managed to do it kind of in a like hacked together way already, like within the YAML, but I think it would just be better and easier for her to use it if there was Python behind it. It could just be a function, but it might be better as a subclass.
Happy to review that. If that helps at all.
Sure. Thank you. I tried to troubleshoot the node issue Michael was having and see if it really is a node issue. I think it is a node issue. But in the meantime, I appreciate the code you gave me, Bryce, but I'm pretty sure it just deleted node and did not bring it back. So I don't have node on my local server at the moment. So I'm a bit stuck there.
Wait, the dev script?
The whole delete node and then curl, blah blah blah, pipe bash and all that stuff. I now don't have node, so I don't know if I did something wrong or if my computer just, and now it's the config is acting up again, but
do you know how to get into the container to manually install things, Michelle? Because that might be the best solution.
I missed a little bit of that, but I think Michelle, it looks like Michelle froze. I couldn't tell, but my headphones died at the same time that she froze, so I thought it was me first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see her screen's off.
Yeah, okay. We'll put a pin in that. It is worthwhile. We could. I would be okay with. Okay, and now she. I'd be okay with helping her out with trying to get it back up, because it should be. It's installing Node shouldn't be a super hard thing. It's just an Ubuntu container. So yeah. Continuing on, Caroline.
So I don't know. I feel like I said something on Monday, but I can't remember what it was. And I just discovered that I used an old interview and made it live instead of the one that we edited in February. So I'm updating that one. I'm feeling very stupid about that. And then weirdly, yesterday, I've been updating my docx templates, that end up being PDFs for people to download. And I was all good to, first of all, I didn't realize that I was using the wrong interview. I mean, the logic is good, but the language and the questions are old. So I'm really annoyed with myself about that. So I'm updating that. But I think I just changed a variable or something. I don't know. I didn't change very much in my docx template. And then I ran the tests. They all passed. And so the tests that I have written with Michelle's help, have the logic. And then we have a screenshot of the final screen that shows the headings that are supposed to show up. The other thing we do is we give users a PDF of that the final screen is accordions. So the final screen, you only see the headings, and then people download the PDF. And the important thing is just to make sure that the headings on the screenshot match the headings in the table on the PDF. And then I'm just going on the assumption that that it's the same text. We're not comparing every single PDF to every single expanded accordion. However, I changed something in the docx template. I downloaded all the tests all passed. I downloaded everything because there's somebody here who's going to compare the steps in the PDF with the headings in the screenshot to make sure at least that's correct. And then I was going to give them, I mean, I use maybe 7 or 8 variables inside the PDF that, you know, whether it says custody or divorce or child support, those kinds of things, and just check those that they show up correctly in the PDF, which I'm not so concerned about. But mostly I just want to make sure the PDF matches the screenshot. Anyway, so with the test, you know, you can download the PDF that's produced from every test, and all my PDF, the tables and the PDFs all of a sudden had like 4-inch margins on either side with 2 inches of padding inside the table. And I have no idea what happened with that. And I looked, I freaked because at first I thought, this is going to happen to all of my interviews. What am I going to do? And it seems to be just that one. So I'm going to go back to a previous docx template and try that. I had no idea. I mean, I'm really annoyed with that. I must have done something and not realized it. And when you look at it in Word, it doesn't look any different. So that's kind of disturbing to me.
That's a weird one. So it's specifically the like if like the completed filled in docx is still fine. It's just turning it into a PDF screws it up somehow.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to remember is, I think it's something with that Word template, because I can't remember because it was at the end of the day and I was kind of cross-eyed. I think that even when you look at the docx, it looks good. I think if you save it as a PDF, it does that also. So there's got to be some weird, I must have done something in there. I do know that when you move rows inside the table, sometimes the rows seem to line up with the rest of the table, like if you cut and paste. And sometimes it's like it creates a new table. But you know, when you paste in Word, there's 4 different options. And I haven't figured out it's always guessing for me, hit and miss, whether it works or whether it doesn't work. Sometimes I just add a new row and copy the contents of the row I want to move into that row. I don't know, Word, very powerful, but very confusing sometimes. So yeah.
That sounds like probably the problem. But one other thing, Caroline, just to check is like, is it a broken conditional row or conditional column, like TR, %TR, or %TC? Look at those and see if it's just the fact that one of the rows isn't there that breaks it. Maybe.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And I don't know if you can narrow it down somehow easily, but the PDF conversion happens in LibreOffice. So if you download that, it should look the same in LibreOffice as it does as the PDF.
I think what I can do probably, I mean, it was working earlier in the week, you know, I mean, that's how small the change is. So what I think I might, and I don't think I changed any condition. I might, you know what I might have done is taken out those P's and the percent in the conditions. I don't know. But what I thought I would do is I'll just take the one that isn't working and do a word compare with one that was working and see if I can see any differences there.
That's a good idea. And hopefully it is something like that, because if it's like another word formatting glitch, sometimes the document is just broken and you have to just over. This is really annoying, but. Or one more thing to try, which Bryce and I have figured out, is like saving it to RTF format and back. RTF simpler format. Sometimes when it
has tables,
is the issue. RTF has tables.
Oh
yeah, but it might not have nested tables. So if like whatever Word does to convert it to not have the nested tables,
I see. Words. Oh right. So if I've moved a row, which I know I didn't do that I know that's not what I did.
It's very simple thing to test.
Yeah,
So if that
that's a great
does fix it, it's great. It doesn't seem like that high probability, but it's so easy to just save it as RTF and then save it back to Word
That's a
format.
fantastic solution, Quentin. I think I'll definitely.
Well, let me know if it works. I mean, at least it only costs you like 2 or 3 minutes to test.
Yeah. Okay, those are great ideas. Thanks.
Anything else you have been running into, or?
No, I'm just doing stupid cleanup stuff, fixing all my dumb mistakes when I'm in too big of a hurry.
That's totally fair. Michelle, you dropped off in the middle of your thing.
I did.
I think we were going to. I always say it after you had hopped off. I'm okay with like trying to hop on it and figure it out, because Node shouldn't be like a very difficult thing to install. And so I think,
right.
and so there should be some sort of like troubleshooting thing if there's something wrong with the script, and if it's not, we can try and figure out what's up with that.
Yeah, I mean, I may have just broken my Docker with my container image thing with this crash.
If we get in there and nothing makes sense, then like maybe, but
maybe I'll nuke it.
We should be able to tell.
We might never know, but I saved my terminal output from that run with the code you provided, so maybe it'll help.
Okay, yeah. Wait. So you are still running that container, or do you just did a different container?
I'm still running that container. I mean, it's not live now because I just crashed my computer. And
that's fair. Okay.
The other things were just that I converted a bunch of stuff to Elkin version 5, and that there's e-filing left, which is, I think, possibly missing 2 environment variables. Or
I can handle all the e-filing stuff. I was almost going to tell you to not even worry about the appearance stuff, but it was passing, so it was like whatever. But like I will handle that stuff. It's always been finicky, which is part of the issue of like it has more timeout issues than other tests because Tyler is also really slow. Don't worry about it.
On the list of things to do to get.
You can actively take it off the list of things to do because
I
will do it. I will do it. It's like I will
at some point. Yeah,
I will at some point. I don't know why it wasn't. I've already been like testing it with 5 forever, and so like I don't know why the GitHub action wasn't using it, but like at some point I will make sure that the GitHub action test runs fine, and I'll change it. I know how to do the changes and everything, so I can take that off of your plate.
Great. And the last one was something obligors, which is super old as far as the tests are concerned. Which I just want to know, do people want me to update those tests? Are those still useful? Like, is that a useful thing, or should I just, we can remove or disable the tests or whatever we want. Like, it'll be a bit of work to get it functioning, but I can do that.
I mean, the interview is live, but it's not changing. So is the idea that we would just turn off the tests for now and then turn them back on when we have a change?
Well, I would have to fix the tests. So I think if I remember correctly, one thing is that I have to like update the tests from like version 1 or version 2 or something. They're just so it'll just take a while.
And update them and turn them back on when we need them. That's kind of what you're suggesting. Like,
either way, I just want to know what y'all want. Like, what would you prefer?
I'm just trying to understand the option you're saying.
Yes, one option is for me to do it now. Another option is for us to do it later. The advantage of me doing it now is that I know I'm here right now, as opposed to some undefined future time. So that's all.
And I'm just thinking it through, like the tests are really only relevant if we change that code or a dependent code. But of course it can have.
Yeah, I mean, like
that
maybe doc assemble updates, blah, 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 right?
Yeah, doc assemble could easily break things.
So.
Which I guess it's one of those, the tests aren't going to automatically run unless we change the code anyway. we
Yeah,
haven't put
but
cron
that's a
on any
small,
of
that's a
them.
small change.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we can put it on a schedule. We can start putting stuff on schedules too if we want. I can make,
That-
we can make
yeah.
that into an issue somewhere, but that's a different thing.
that's more stuff, and this is more of a like, I don't know. I don't know what I was going for.
This is it's just a big update. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just gonna take a while. And I just want to know
What about like
what is
just,
on the priority list. That's all.
what if we just make like a it runs test? for now?
Okay. Okay,
That's-
I can remove the other tests
That's the old
or
ones.
disable the other tests. The thing, yeah, I'll just remove everything that's there and redo it and have an 8 runs test. That is easier than converting but I mean, it's still got its own package.json, et cetera, et cetera. That's where it's at.
Oh, really?
So if I
Okay.
just remove everything and redo it, that's probably faster than fiddling with what's there. But if we want, we can keep the test that's there now and just like neutralize it, comment it out. And
Probably a good reference if we have to
save it
read.
for later. Exactly. Exactly. Keep it as a reference. That's the words I was looking for.
More tests still work. They're just not as good.
I'm not sure that they still pass. I don't remember. I just know that updating is gonna take a bit. That's all. I don't know if they pass.
Is the reason to do the Kiln 5 upgrade because Kiln version 4 is not working anymore, or is it to get the benefit improvement of Kiln version 5?
It's to make it easier to update later if there are necessary updates later. Like if they're passing, that's on version 1 or 2 or whatever it is, then that's great. But yeah, I'm also not sure what that code does anymore. I don't know, can test it.
It's probably fine just to do what we were saying. I'm just thinking through, like, because it seems like that's a third option, is to leave it on Kiln version 4. Is that a good option for any reason? But thinking through all the different trade-offs, chances are that those tests aren't going to be touched in quite a while.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
code won't change. We won't probably rerun those tests on a schedule.
Yeah. Let me see. They are failing at the moment. That's what's going on with them. Just look them up.
Okay.
So I suspect it's because of changed variables and stuff like that, but I could be wrong.
I that would surprise me because Bryce, did you make those tests? I mean, Bryce is the one who edited that repository.
No,
I
will.
probably made the tests. I was the one making tests at that point. It was pretty experimental still.
Yeah, that was before I started doing a lot of Kiln stuff.
Okay. All right, so then that could be it, that it kept getting changed and then the tests weren't updated for the change.
Yeah, it looks like I did a few small changes in the tests to just like fix typos and stuff, but those, I think they were originally there before me. I did not write a lot of them.
All right. Anyone else have any thoughts about whether to update? I guess the tests aren't working, so we should at least get a working test. Obviously, work went into thinking through the scenarios that we're testing. So we don't want to lose that, but we can do that just by leaving the old feature files there and unused, I guess.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's the right idea.
Okay, so I'll make a it runs test in version 5 and then neutralize but keep for reference the old tests. Sounds good. Cool. So that's me, I think.
Great. I guess that leaves. Well, I guess you could go, Bryce, but I can jump in.
No, go for it.
Yeah, just this week I was trying to catch up a little bit on some assembly line backlog stuff. Actually some bigger new features. We have a new way to we're loading the language code by default. That's something we've talked about before. Pop back up in my mind because we have someone who's doing a translation now for a interview, and we want to start out with the strings that have already been translated in other projects. So there's some new variables to go along with that. Some variables that allow you to say what the language that the interview is available in are. We have a list of languages that have been translated into the native language. So like when you choose your language from a drop-down menu, it says it in your language, like Espanol instead of Spanish.
Oh.
So Bryce and I had some good feedback on what that list should consist of, and we thought through some of the things like the language codes to use, which are tricky for some languages like Chinese, where there's one written language but multiple spoken languages.
2 written languages in Chinese.
Yep.
Yeah, but they're transliterable. So right.
Oh yeah, right.
Traditional, you're right. But no, I did really mean 2, because you're right. We're treating them as 2 different languages, but they're not the same as the spoken language.
Right.
Anyway, but people can take a look at that if they want. It should be interesting. It should only be relevant to a small handful of interviews, but I think we may want to port interviews that are using custom ways of doing translation to that system. So
But do you have an idea off the top of your head what those are? I did a quick look for like,
I think it's just the
stuff
209.
that I had. Okay, that was what I thought. I did a quick look around.
Well, there's more than just the 209A, but I think that might be the only one that's still live.
Okay.
And the new one's going to be this one for the this housing, the one that Anna worked on from the clinic.
Yeah. Okay.
Up to Code uses it too, yeah. But I mean, I'll work ones that are not.
There's an assembly line housing one you're talking about, with the TRO and everything.
TRO one, maybe. No, the one that I was thinking of was like the CDC moratorium. That one was translated.
Oh, right.
But that's not live anymore.
Yeah. I thought you were saying it was still live. I thought you were saying the housing one is live, but no, that's not what you're saying.
Then there are like a couple of other like little miscellaneous things. I'm just going to try to pick off some of the, like the backlog keeps growing, which I was like, some of these are like 20-minute fixes. We could just fix them.
Yeah.
And there was one thing that Chris asked for, like for addresses, if people don't specify a unit, don't put the word unit in their address, but their address is like 1, we were already adding the word unit. But if the unit or something like 1A, we were not. So I just added some code to handle that. So 1A will get the word unit prepended to it. And then for user pronouns, we don't really use any of the docassemble language functions in any of our interviews because they're not translatable, but someone else had suggested that we fix the like pronoun objective, pronoun subjective to fix all of those functions. So they work better with situations where the user is a business. So I did that, but also took the chance to integrate it with our pronoun questions. So if a user submits their own pronouns, we will use those if an author chooses to use the pronoun subjective, etc. functions. So that's ended up being a fair bit of new code, but pretty helpful. And I found some bugs in the pronoun objective and subjective code that I may or may not push upstream to try to get them fixed there. I'm not sure if it's a priority for us to try to get those fixed because we're not using them directly.
We should, yeah, we should. At
But
least
maybe-
mention rupture.
We'll have to like detangle our custom pronoun code from that, I think. So that's why I was like, well, can't just literally make our code a PR, but maybe worth doing.
Yeah.
And then when I was working today, I found an issue with our menu items code, which we might need to think about doing a different way, which I think this worked before, because I was working on an outside interview that added some custom menu items. And I mean, I think I wrote code and had changed it more than once and it was working, but it wasn't working anymore. I think it's because the order some of the assembly line code runs in was overriding it. So I think it's important for us to let people add custom menu items. So I opened an issue for that, and it's something I think we should look at and fix so that people can still customize the menu, even if they're using assembly line. But that's kind of it. I'll be out next week. That's what I've been working on.
Cool. Yeah, it's good. The reconsider thing, we can look into. I saw you make the issue, but reconsider. I need to look into what reconsider actually does, because I feel like half the time I can never get it to actually work how I want it to, and it also does break other things. But
yeah, I'm not sure, like a refactor. We just have to turn off reconsider. Maybe we don't really need reconsider there.
The lines between depends on needs and reconsider. I think reconsider can get stuff stuck in a loop. That's I think the main issue with it.
maybe, yeah.
Needs doesn't usually do anything like reconsider or depends on, though, what it's worth.
Okay.
Needs just bumps it up to it will try to get that variable before doing stuff in that block. That's the only thing it's super useful for.
Okay, so it doesn't.
It can basically control the order that code runs in, but it does not ever say run this more than once in a certain situation.
I see. Got it.
But yeah, that can be a thing. I'll honestly just throw that on the deep dive for next week, even if you're gone. Michelle and I can look into it a bit.
Okay.
Cool. But otherwise,
Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about the e-filing stuff, Bryce? I feel like it's happening in the background, but there might be stuff for us to stay up to date on.
I mean, it's still going. I'm mixed between doing that stuff and doing all of these changes that Matt keeps pinging me about. And like Illinois has been changing a decent amount of stuff. Like they're now all of a sudden you can't do name search, or you can't search cases by name. And they're turning that off on August 1st, and so we're had to get that in.
It's a privacy thing.
I think it was a privacy thing. Yeah, I think they didn't. If it was a confidential case, their system still let you search it, which was not what it probably should have been doing. I know in confidential cases, we like strip out all of the case info, and there's like other things that Tyler specifically says we need to do, but like it's up to their system whether or not they return something that should be confidential when we search for it. But yeah, we're turning that off and they're turning it off too. So, and then there's other things that like Matt has just been thinking me about. I've been doing a lot on this week, and I've been making some small progress on the e-filing things. It just goes very slow because it's Java.
Have you signed up for Copilot yet?
I haven't signed up with Copilot yet. No.
It's interesting. It's really different from using ChatGPT, but it works with YAML files. I mean, not that well, but more predictive typing. So it works in more situations than using ChatGPT fresh does.
That's fair.
But I would imagine with Java, it will be really useful because there's so much boilerplate.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like IntelliSense, but smarter.
Cool. But yeah. That's odd, have to update, so.